Good morning. Yep, they were stupid to pay those prices. That was the theme yesterday. And so now things are heading down. Technically, it was ripe for it, but we've seen how many times the markets have been able to ignore that. Anyway, so no doubt a correction is underway. How far it'll go, we'll all find that out together, but we'll rely on our internals to guide us. Which breath will definitely reach. Probably, I'm definitely right. I assume anyway, by the way things are moving down today, and they haven't reached a significant support level, that breath will eventually get down to a minus 200. And ideally, this little green area down here, this major support at 6,200 on the SPX, if it should get down there, likely I think it will in the next week or two. We'll see. Sooner the better. Um, these will align. And maybe we even get a minus 300 area if the selling is really severe and it broadens out. But that's our major support area down there, that consolidation before the advance started. And we'll see where this is at. As this moves down, I imagine SPY is down here on this minus support where you can see the futures are stabilizing here. But what we'll be looking for in the coming weeks is, breadth reaching an extreme and sentiment reaching an extreme. And yesterday and today's move will definitely help move those toward those levels. So that's what we'll be looking for in the coming weeks. And as prices come down to support, then we'll see what kind of formation forms there. One of the comments yesterday was to see, hey, that it's gapping up here. Let's see what this weekly bar looks like. And unless there's some miracle coming, which I don't think so, there's some number at 10 o'clock, but unlikely to turn things around at this point. We're going to get a red candle in an uptrend after new all-time highs. So a correction within this bullish move, and we'll see how far it gets. As we look at the weekly time frame, you can see this consolidation there just below 6,200, but a bar like this would imply potentially coming lower, but we don't want to get too ahead of ourselves here. And we'll see where the day ends and where we go next week. Yeah, you know what, Patrick, the jobs report, these economic reports getting revised. You always got to wonder, is these things being manipulated? Not that we're ever going to know, but, technically we knew, based on the breadth alone, which, I pointed out several times. It's like, okay, the market's going up. You can't fight that. But this was a warning sign that the deterioration under the hood was, a warning. Like, keep things in perspective. You can't fight the trend, but do you buy a gap up like this? I think that's stupid. In retrospect, now in 2020 hindsight, we know it was stupid. But hey, in long term, things will go up higher again, right? Yeah, well, look, when there's money involved, whether it's Chinese, whether it's Americans, whether it's French, whatever, what is the saying? The love of money is the root of all equal, of all evil. So look, how many times, I mean, if you been on Twitter X, how many posts are there? It's like, they're after these Democrats. I can't blame them. But anyway, what's corruption is corruption, no matter what it is. I don't care, Republican, Democrat, right? But the posts there are like, how did Nancy Pelosi be worth $400 million on a salary of whatever? How did AOC become a multimillionaire on such and such? All of these politicians are scooping it in. How did Clinton's daughter get $84 million out of USA aid? Now, we assume these things to some degree have truth to them, but with the corruption that's going on, yeah, it's universal. I don't care where it is. But technically, right, we got a correction that's beginning. We look for stabilization at support. As intraday traders, we'll look for counter trend trades, and we'll look for trend trades on the way down there. That's the bottom line. So this was the gap up on those earnings reports yesterday. Microsoft and whatever they were. You know? And so, let me point out this pattern that I mentioned yesterday over here. I think it was on here. And I pointed out it's a great warning sign. Now, it isn't something that predicts a move like this at all. But when you see what I call a breakout bar failure, it's a little consolidation and a wide range breakout and an inside bar, and it breaks the low. It's a pattern that says, you know what, take partial profits, take your profits. It's a great heads up. Not that something like this is going to happen. There are other things that have to come together, like what we've talked about recently. But it's a good pattern that, on whatever the time. All patterns are universal to all time frames. Higher time frames, bigger implications, and we've seen these on daily time frames, in past history, and it marked, a top. Whereas, a bar like this, a big wide range bearish engulfing that took out the highs and closed below the lows is bearish, right? It's obvious. And so at this point, as I said, expectation is for it to go lower. And it's stabilized here on this minor support for the moment. M's are drifters. They have been stealing money for decades. Well, I would tend to agree with you since I'm pretty much a conservative, Republican, and all of that. But look, thievery isn't, you know, just in the hands of Democrats or Republicans or whatever. You know, it's universal. But how many of these politicians are getting off the path here? But how many of these politicians have been indicted and going to jail? Right? I don't think so. I can't think of one anyway. So Qs look like they have to come down here, or the NQs futures. There'll be stabilization along the way. But the biggest opportunities come when you have multiple bars declines into areas of major support, give or take. If it lines up with a moving average, so the 50 will come up into this area. And we really have to look at the underlying, not the futures, when we look at support, resistance, and moving averages. But patterns imply lower prices. It's black and white. All right. So my art here was to show slowing momentum, this breakout that failed. And again, it was in an uptrend. That gets the benefit of the doubt. But the Dow has been lagging. And now look at the size of that reversal bar um, on the weekly time frame. So this is coming down. It's broken major support. So it's no longer in an uptrend. It's not on a closing basis. This could retrace from here, but there'll be sellers, right? There'll be sellers. So even if it was to retrace up here, you'd start thinking head and shoulders top. But we'll just have to see how it evolves. Right now, clearly, sellers are in control and sell rallies. When it gets extended, we'll look for buy setups. The Russell broke down, right? We were really hoping, I was anyway, as this was more constructive, this consolidation after the move up, that the Russell and the transports would kick it into gear, do the catch-up trade. It didn't happen. Right? So we create a bias based on trend, support, resistance, tradable voids, multiple time frames, and it looked like it could go up. And now it doesn't. And that's why we need stops. If we knew the future, we wouldn't need stops. And so now this has failed. It's leading the way down. And so there we go. We'll see. This may be the opportunity sometime today after stabilization, since it's extended to the downside. Maybe there's a counter trend move intraday. We'll have to see. Gold is soaring. Why? Well, look here. So we don't look at the short-term interest rates that often, but look at this. And Trump loves beating up on Powell. And now, we don't know if the numbers have been manipulated here, but the numbers today imply he has to lower interest rates. And, it's just a thought. I wouldn't be surprised if it came out in the middle of the day, not today, but they digest this stuff. But I've seen this happen before, you know, over one time I can remember many years ago, and they come out with a interest rate change in the middle of the day. So we were blindsided by that. But this implies it's going to happen. So there's lots of opinions about that, but we look to our technicals to say, well, what is that saying? And so this has been, looked like it was going to go up, then it didn't. And so now we have this collapse. They're going to cut, right? That's what the market believes. They have no choice, right? So Powell has said how many times about payrolls, employment, and now this number comes in well below expectations. So the market has a violent reaction with interest rates dropping. And eventually, of course, that'll be good, right? And as interest rates drop, um, you know, historically it's been better for the markets, but in the short term, right, this was unexpected. So now, we're talking about big range, little range, middle of the range. Now there's a big nasty bar, and the 10 years going lower. Right? We'll see where that stabilizes. The 30-year was tickling over here up above 5%, like it was going to go higher. And now that's broken down too. So gold still in just a trading range, but with interest rates down, right? This is just the relationship, intermarket relationships, and this is moving up. We'll see where it holds. Question is, there are opportunities here, right? So things are moving in a big way. So, big moves like that, we have to wait and see where the dust settles. Silver's down on support. We'll see, making a little turn here if it can stabilize. So this, I think, is going to be a real key to watch here. So this pattern, implies that it's going to go higher. And when interest rates dropping, it's not like interest rates are going up and this is going up, but look, the dollar backing off now because interest rates dropping, it's in a bottoming pattern. I'll take a look at that for a minute. So I'm not surprised to see what it's doing. As technical traders, to some degree, we have to ignore the ruse, but this pattern of several bars up, taking out those highs and the consolidation at the top implies it's going to go higher. And that could throw some fuel, some gas on the fire there as far as pushing the markets lower if that breaks out. So set an alert on USO, see if it breaks out, and keep an eye on that. And you can see the dollar pulling back here, dropping. But as I said it once, I've said it at least 100 times. Bottoming patterns are treacherous. And so pivot low, new low, retracement, higher low. It's pulling back here to minus support. I'm expecting it's going to stabilize here. And then we'll just have to see what interest rates do, right? And let's get to see where they're gapping to. I'm going to pick up the pace here a little bit to hand it over to Dan. But there's a giant red bar, right? Is there a doubt in anybody's mind that stupid was up here, buying, right? So I say that kind of with the grain of salt, and that, look, and nobody knows the future, but it was kind of like common sense. Don't pay those prices. Prices are extended short term from these moving averages. It's moving up quite bearishly. I mean, bullishly. How do I define that? Bars that are relatively equal in range. It shows certainty in the trend. And with breadth deteriorating like that, you have the comment, why are they so certain? Well, I can't explain it, but that's what the pattern implied or signaled. And so to have such a nasty reaction, it does make sense because, was extended and the tariff stuff was going to start today and all of that. And now you add this employment number and yeah, prices are down here, right? below the 20 MA, and the significant support is down here, 552. Right? So I don't know that it'll get there today, but I think eventually that's where the stabilization is. An IWM, right? It's down there on that pivot. So I think that might rally at the open, or try to anyway. We'll see if it stabilizes. All right. SPY is below the 20. It's in the middle of that congestion. You can see the cursor there on the daily time frame. So in the middle of that area yesterday, right? I thought that was a no-brainer. No, it wasn't. But look, that's what really set things off as to unexpected. These outside numbers rarely get hit, but when they do, something significant had to have happened. All right, so now prices are around here below the 20, 62.80-ish or so, give or take. So let's see where the numbers are. What I want to see is like a put number, like down here somewhere below 6,200, where it has premium. 61.65. Right? Who's going to buy those puts today? I think the same idiots that bought the high. I don't think so. All right, 61 and all right, so it's down here. It's kind of, I think, eyeballing it in the middle of the two strikes. Gap fill? You don't think so? But maybe. See if the 5 minute stabilizes, if things hold. Coming down here, line of defense, major support. Take your pick. All yours, Dan.
Morning, happy Friday. Zero DTE. So yeah, yesterday we were totally looking for call spreads, looking to fade those ridiculous gap ups. And I made the comment either pre-market or after the market open. Are you
What?
Greg, your mic. I made the comment that the Dow 30, that other than the gappers, Microsoft, Meta, and Nvidia was up a couple of bucks. I said 27 stocks were red. I said that's horrible breath. So I had a bearish bias all day. We didn't give a single long. Yeah. Yeah, I'm on. Right? Sound check. I got both my buttons on. Yeah, Greg, your mic was on though too. So anyway, so that was yesterday. Now it's too late to do zero DT call spreads unless we find an earnings thing or something or other. And I'll be looking at put spreads. As Greg said, ideally we sell off more into a first or second reversal period. Microsoft. Yeah, no, that was on our list. It just fell too rapidly. But that was on our list for sure. Let's see, YouTube, asking about Mondelez. Yeah, that's a big mess. Established. No, there's no pattern there. There's no pattern unless you're just going to figure out a 15-minute day trade. You said STH, that's not a symbol. Let me look at alarms real quick, so I always do first. NET, this is earnings. This is the only earnings stock I did. I shorted the 160 puts naked, and so I'm just bidding a penny to close them. Rawlings alarm. This is not earnings, or maybe it is. I don't know. 8, 9, 10, 11. No, it's not earnings. But a bull flag here, gapping up. My alarm went off. Let's see a 30-minute high. As they did, I'm going to be very selective on longs fighting the broader market. But this is a candidate. I got a bull flag daily, upper half of the WRB, 1, 2, 3 weekly, gapping up to resistance. Let's see if it can take out a 30-minute high. SLX, we're in trail mode in the ETF letter, and that looks like it's stopped now, break even now. Shoot, we had a nice open gain in that. CRWV, this was the only trade we gave yesterday all day. We did a 99 put spread for next week, gapping down a little bit, but nothing to do. And finally, this BIDO, we have a put. This is the only open trade in our weekly options trader. We're incredibly light. We only have 3 open trades in the advisory, so this is like record low trades right now, which is good. So we're not getting whipped around until we get our new setup. All right, so this one we're short the 22.20 put spread, a gap down here. We were talking in the green room yesterday about what this thing is, dividends, so on and so forth. But I'm not going to trade this thing again. But I posted an alert. My intent. So we only have a $2 wide. My intent is maybe 5-minute low. I'm going to sell the 21 naked calls to hedge our short puts to take in more premium, and 30-minute low for the put spread. So that's my management approach as of right now. Tree alarm. This was on my list yesterday. Gapping up, beautiful buy setup. Let's see, gapping to 48. So that another 30-minute high would be fantastic. Rocket, it's a retest of a buy setup. It's gapping up 1582, another 30-minute high idea. BIDO 1.2 dividend gap. Stop. Well, Alex, I already talked about it, so I'm not going to waste any more time. Shoot, laser alarm just went off. All right, we're long this as a 1, 2, 3, gapping down here to 20. So let's move. So that's gapping under the stop. Let's move stop tighter of 1932 or 30-minute low. So hold on, I'm gonna update that. 1933 or 30-minute low. So again, we only have 3 opens, and this is one. And we also have one short, RHI, which we're in trail mode. And then let's go to earnings. RHI. Earnings now. Amazon. All right, Amazon and Apple are the big ones. 217. That's a nasty gap. Look at that, all the way to the 50. So I call this it's a bearish but excessive gap. 30-minute high, 0 DTE put spread. Valley is actually moving up pretty good. No pattern. Apple, it's gapping up a little, but in this big range, I got nothing to do there. Yeah, I know we were talking about naked put on that yesterday. You were talking about the 350s. If you did it, you're getting paid. Look at this EMN in case I run out of time. Middle chart here. I have this as a gap and snap candidate. Look, it's down from 80 and change, down down a lot on volume. Now you're giving me a monster gap down. That's a short-term gap and snap setup. I read it. I tried selling puts on this and I did not get filled. I was trying to sell the 120s. Bullish gap, but excessive. Nothing to do now. Coin 335. So that's gap in the middle of, well, it's gap in this prior low. But I don't think it's going to hold. Because that's an ugly gap and you still have more of a void. I think this is going to come down to the 50 myself. But no trade right now. NET, that's one I sold a put on. This Roku would have been a bullish pattern if it opened flat, 85 bucks. Now that's a call spread candidate. It's just cracked the uptrend pretty bad. Opening flat, no interest. ATEC gap in the 12. It'd be fine to watch on a pullback, but I got enough to watch. Clack 870. That could be a 30-minute low short and call spread. 0 DTE, SM 2920, gapping right to the top of the range. Could be a put spread. That's the one we just covered. M&M striker 371, nasty gap. That could be a 30-minute high. Put 0 DTE put spread. RMD call spread shows a gapping up $3, but I don't see any prints. But that's a breakout failure. Why did I get filled on? Yeah, filled on something here pre-market. Mortgage. Alex mortgage. Alex and I are in this. I just sold some at 25.90. So, I just wanted to reduce some exposure. So I put a pre-market alarm in, but it's actually relative strength right now. An FHI alarm. So mortgage. Okay. All right, so now the fun begins. All right, FHI call spread idea. That's another earnings thing, gapping down. Whiskey Kilo, gap's too big, but that's a pro gap. Oh, for those, remember I told you I shorted CAG overnight? I actually covered it pre-market at a gain. Whoever gave that to me yesterday. And my rationale was, I was looking at the level 1, and also, I was thinking maybe with the market gapping down, some of the boring staple stuff might get a bid. All right, so Bitto. All right, so the 21 calls now. All right, they sucked them out. So I was hoping it'd be like 50 cents or so, and they're only 10 by 25. Shoot, so that kind of ruins some of my management intent. All right, so the biddo. All right, I have various things. I just closed it at $1. So let's do that. Just kill it. We took in extra premium. So we actually oh, but we still have the naked one to manage. Let's see, we shorted some extra. All right, so it's just reducing exposure. Deer alarm. All right, I actually shorted a put spread on this yesterday myself. Deer. Yeah, because I did the 215s. Just keep an eye on it. I still don't have many alarms going on. A gap down here. So we made our next target. Or I think I did. Hold on. No, it's let's see, 36. So now let's move stuff. 37.52. All right, John. This has been a nice, easy to manage short. No, the next target. We'll have to leave it for now. All right, John. It's 35.75. That's the next target. Apple actually holding its pre-market support. Wow, this Alcoa that I was watching for a turn yesterday. That sure gave it up.
Did go lower, Thomas. You need a setup. Unless you're going to put a stop over yesterday's high on MU.
Yeah, yeah, that turned out to be an ugly bear flag. DHI, yeah, that had earnings. I saw it capping down earlier. XHB doing nothing. Pelletier. Yeah, that'd be a 0 DTE here also. Up there at 160. 8 cents. 8 cents is a Apple, the 15-minute chart. Look at that big nasty topping tail under resistance. That would now be a 215 call spread. Meta broke down from yesterday's low, but there's no premium anymore. All right, 215 is only 30 cents naked. If it weren't earnings, I'd say that's fine, but earnings can whip around in the first 30 minutes, so I'm not going to mess with it. Our curve here. Oh, that's ugly. That's a small Bear Island reversal. That don't look good. That's M&M middle church. Nope, that's no gap and snap now. That looks like it's gonna plow lower for a few more days. Hey, Sam's in the house. Welcome.
Ivy got out of bed.
Nope, Rawlings gave it up. But it's still okay Monday over yesterday's high. Because then it would have to recover. GPC, what I looked at, no, that looks horrible. I'm just looking at some things on my other computer. Mortgage, nice relative strength. I got out of mine early. SXT was on my list. That's still fine. Look, it's still staying the upper 80% of that. So that I like for Monday. VIX new high now. VIX. Yep, yep. Wow, look at today's bar is already greater than yesterday's bar. AD line negative 1200.
Interesting, the tick didn't open up below minus 1,000.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
What does that mean? I don't know. It's just an observation.
Well, I think it's breadth, right?
Well, I mean, everything gapped down. I mean, not all stocks, but all the, the major market indices gapped lower. They all look like they're gonna go lower, but I mean, I can't do anything here myself because there's no pattern. It's just could turn, doesn't have to get down to support, but the S&Ps are almost there.
Yeah, but the velocity.
Spider's got to go to like below 622, I think.
Remember this end tap I said? If it opened flat, shorted, gap messed it up. One of my mint NET puts. Look at this rocket.
There's a tick extreme.
Rocket ripping, so nothing to do there. Striker gap to the prior low, but that's a freaking mess. Laser breakout failure now. I already tightened the stuff. Brought up on the big computer. Let's say LB we were watching, left no turn. That would have been a buy setup over yesterday's close. But Algen, remember, got its clock clean yesterday, but I still don't trust it for today. Let's check some of these earnings now. And hey, what about Amazon put spread? Yeah, Amazon. Yeah, 30-minute high. Day trade also. So 1, 2, 3. Let there be juice. 215. 50 cents naked, which will be less than that over the 30-minute high. So it's not great. So I think you'd be better off just doing a 1, 2, 3 30-minute high. You got 14 minutes to go. But that's a nice opening bar from a big ugly gap. Let's kill this. Let's kill the rest of this biddo. Sure. For next week, 99, 95. It's 138, so we added.
And close to that big support on Qs.
All right, I'm putting biddo on the do not trade list. You are out of here. So now we have one open position in the weekly and 3 in the advisory. We have extremely light inventory. Sorry, Jai is short. Let's act them beautifully.